Today's the day, the big day. We're going to turn over Pap's big garden. You excited?
Yep.
It'll take more than the one go on it, but Matt wants to get it done today. At least we'll have that part done for one time. He'll have to do it, till it more, probably with this tractor and then even with the smaller tillers as we plant. But we got to get it that first turnover to try to get rid of some of the grass and see how it's gonna be.
Yep.
It's gonna rain. When did you say it's gonna rain? Tomorrow. So we're trying to do it. It's kind of dried out right now, but we're gonna have a few days of rain.
And this is the driest it's been in several days. So I need to get it done today and then end up doing it again right before we plant, I guess.
Pretty exciting.
It's been a while.
Been a long time.
10 years at least, hasn't it?
Yeah, since Pap's garden was tilled, so we're excited about that. Of course, we're excited about what's going to grow in it too, about the corn. And I know Matt's excited to drive his tractor.
Yeah, but I'm excited about seeing the ground turned and planted again like we used to here for all those years. That's what's exciting.
Matt and I are walking out through the garden, seeing how it did. Looks a lot different without the grass.
It looks way better. It needs to be turned a little deeper though with a turning plow that we ain't got. But that did help it some. It's just not hardly deep enough. I'm gonna have to look into getting a plow or get somebody to pull it or turn it or something. It's been 10 years since there's been anything on it, so probably should have done that first, but we'll get it done one way or the other.
You gonna go back over it one more time?
Yeah, I may go back up one more time up here where all this grass is, just to be sure we get it cut up. But it does need to be turned a little deeper. It's a little softer right down here, but up here toward the driveway, it's still a little hard, and it's where all the grass and stuff was. I may go over it one more time. I've got the tiller set about as deep as it'll go, but they'll only go about 3.5 inches deep as they'll go. So it does need to be turned. Somebody got a dog for Christmas, a little puppy. And there's two little boys there. It wasn't neither one of them's puppy, but they got all excited about it and was playing with it. And the younger boy kept running up to it. And the older boy's name is Cecil. And he kept walking right up in that dog's face, and he'd look at his brother and say, "Cecil, can he see me? Can he see me, Cecil?" Just over and over and over and over. And that's just one of the funniest things I'd seen. I thought that was hilarious. He had his hands on his hips. You know how little boys are. He'd say, "Cecil, can he see me?" And he'd look back at that dog like he couldn't see him.
Yeah, it's funny. Reminds me of when Mom and Daddy said when Steve was little, one time he asked him, said, "Daddy, am I real or am I just a toy too?" Am I just a toy?
Yeah.
Well, Matt got it tilled twice, but he still thinks it needs to be turned over. Still gonna have to do that.
Yeah.
So what do you call that, a turning plow? A turning plow may be in our future.
Yep. Gonna have to be.
Gonna have to be. We thought about we could call somebody and get them to maybe come and do it, but probably since we've got the tractor, we should just get the plow. And so
see, when you buy toys,
it just multiplies.
You got to keep buying more toys for the toys you done bought.
Yeah. Yeah. What else you gonna want for it?
Just whatever they make.
Yeah. You like it. Matt's really enjoyed it so far. Our driveway is so great. It's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
We've done several little things with it.
Yep.
So the tractor's already, in Matt's opinion,
I've done all this work and my back don't hurt a bit.
right, pretty much paid for itself. Saved Matt's back and
Yeah.
got our driveway in shape. And even though we're going to have to get the turning plow, at least the garden looks like a garden again.
It does, don't it? It
Yeah.
looked like that in years.
Hadn't looked like that in years. It's funny how the grass was more on this side, like Matt said, and even back in the day, this part of the garden I think was always better, don't you?
Yeah,
It's
always
closer
was.
to the creek. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but anyway, just somehow ended up being a better part of the garden. And so this part looks for sure like a garden. The top part, you can see all the grass still.
Yeah.
But nice to see it looking like this again. Now if we just had some rows of corn in it.
I had a thought while I was out there turning around right next to that satellite dish, when
Yeah.
the corn gets up about 8 foot tall and Granny's TV goes out, what we gonna do?
I don't know. Have to get a really tall pole for it or something. Yeah, it's definitely something we'll have to think about.
Yeah.
She can't do without her Gunsmoke and her Death Valley days and
Yeah.
Wells Fargo and all the others.
Yep.
She'd be missing them. So we'll have to do something about it.
Yep.
As fast as time goes by, it won't be long before if we get it turned and then get it plowed again before we're ready to plant corn.
We will.
I mean, we definitely can't plant it till May, but as fast as time's going, May will be here before you know it.
Mm-hmm. You will.
In our recent video about planting our potatoes, we do have them planted, so that's good. We're happy to have that done. We had several people ask about it, do we follow the moon signs as far as planting the potatoes. I've done a video about planting by the signs. I can link to that, and I even have an almanac calendar available if you're interested in that. I can link to that too. And I'll even, every month on the Blind Pig and the Acorn, I share on my blog, I share what I think are the best planting signs. So I can leave that link and you can go there to see whatever I say about it or watch that video to hear about it. So lots of people though, when you start talking about planting by the signs, they think you're talking about the occult and those kind of things. They don't like it. They think some people just think it's hogwash, and then other people think it's really evil and you shouldn't do it or shouldn't talk about it. But all the people that I've ever come in contact with, they think planting by the signs, by the moon phases, is biblical. They think God give you the way the moon and the tides and all that works together in the Bible when it talks about signs. In Ecclesiastes, there's always also a place in Genesis. That's the things that they believe in. Everybody has the right to their own belief, like Matt says. What is it? Or the Spirit of the Outdoors says the best way to do things is the way you like to do them.
That's right.
So some people really swear by that, and other people just think it's hogwash or don't have time for it. And then there's people that think it's really evil. Well, everybody has to decide that for themselves. But we do not think it's evil, and we do try to do that. Years ago, when I was growing up, Granny and Pap didn't plant by the signs. Pap he had a full-time job. He was pretty much a full-time musician, singing gospel music all over the place with his brother Ray, and he coached baseball, and then he also was a deacon at church. He was a Sunday school teacher at church, so his plate was just full, and so he just had to plant whenever he planted. And him and Granny did though follow the signs when it comes to fermenting things. So when they made their kraut, they made sure that it was in the right sign, right body part. Each zodiac sign has a corresponding like a element and then also a body part. So they did do that, but not necessarily about planting the garden. So then, when I first started learning about planting by the signs, I was really intrigued by that, and I thought, well, Daddy always had a great garden and he never done none of that. But then once you really dig in, there's a lot more fruitful signs than you think. It's not like just 1 or 2 days a month. So then I thought, did he just accidentally plant on the the right days? But pretty soon after that, me and Matt started trying to plant by the signs. And what I really quickly realized, if for nothing else, it helps you be organized because you're looking ahead and trying to see what day you could plant what. Of course, the rain and the weather gets in your way sometimes. But back then, I asked all my elders, I'd ask everybody, what do you think about it? And I remember one sweet dear lady, Mary Alice, she told me that her mother always planted under the crab, is how she said it. Well, the crab is like cancer, is the sign for that. And so I think that first year we just tried that. And we did think that our garden was better, just the little things we were planting up at the house. And then the next year I thought, well, I'm just going to follow it. I'm just going to do everything, just exactly, talking about the waxing and the waning of the moon and all that. And we did, but I about drove myself crazy, like trying to figure it all out. And then after that, I thought, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to go back to what my sweet friend there, feel like she's part of our family, what she told me, and I'm just going to focus on the fruitful signs. So that's what I do. And again, I'll link to those so you can go here and learn more about that. And every month, at the beginning of the month, I've already done it for March, but all the way till probably September, I'll share those on the Blind Pig and the Acorn at the beginning of the month. What I think, over the years, me and Matt just aim for those days. So.
I have a funny story.
What?
About that.
Oh, about the signs, yeah.
My grandma and grandpa. My grandpa's the same way. Full-time job. But he had a big garden. He's just like Pap was. He just plant when he had time. He didn't really go by the signs, I don't guess. I'm sure he knew them, but he just had to plant when he had time to plant, and with the weather and all that. And he planted something, I don't remember what it was. And Grandma, he come in the house and Grandma said, Jim, you planted that in the wrong sign of the moon. And he said, I ain't planting it on the moon, I'm planting it in the dang field down there. Just kept going on into the kitchen.
He wasn't going to listen to that, was he? Oh.
That's funny.
Following the signs, though, does have a really rich culture in the mountains of Appalachia, and not just for gardening, but when it comes time to I remember my sister-in-law, Kim, she would cut April, my niece's hair, on a certain, during the sign that was supposed to be good for hair growth. So then she did have beautiful hair, so she would do that. A lot of people, if you're going to take the baby's pacifier or bottle or something, there's, you do it under a certain sign. If you're going to have surgery, all those things. Again, some people think that that's some kind of a cult, but all the people that I know that do it, they look at it as a biblical, like God give us those signs. So again, that's just something you have to figure out for yourself. But so many people ask about that, I thought we would share that little bit about it. We've got a friend here. Let's come up. Hey buddy, are you gonna bark at me now as you seen me? He's our neighborhood beagle, holler beagle.
Yeah.
Another thing you'll often hear is people have the tradition of planting on Good Friday and St. Patrick's Day, especially potatoes. You'll hear people say, Daddy always planted potatoes on St. Patrick's Day or on Good Friday or something like that. So that's another common one you'll hear. We've not really ever done those unless we just did it. That just happened to be the day that we were planting it, I guess.
Yeah.
He's trying to find him a scent, ain't he?
Yeah, he don't never stop. He runs all day and night.
Another thing on that same video about the potatoes that people ask, a lot of people, was how long does it take for potatoes to grow before you can harvest them? So it kind of depends on how the potato grows in your area and all those things, but generally people will say like 80 to maybe over 100 days, like maybe 130, 120 days or something like that. And that also depends on the variety that you plant. If you have a variety that you want to plant, if you just Google that, you can find the estimated. Sometimes it takes a little longer, or sometimes they do really good and they're ready sooner. And then as far as how you would tell that they're ready, the plants kind of start dying back. And some people let them die back completely. Me and Matt usually do that. Not necessarily because we think that's the best. It's just usually before we can get to them that happens. And then other people just wait for them just to barely start dying back, and they go ahead and harvest them. And I was trying to think of some of the other questions. A lot of people ask about storage. Now, Matt and I don't grow enough potatoes to really have to worry about storage. We eat potatoes a lot, so before we know it, ours are gone. But when Granny and Pap used to grow them, you can keep them like if you have a, what would you say, a cool, dark place. So maybe your basement, your cellar, if you have a cellar or something like that. Some people have really good luck, maybe just in your kitchen if there's a out-of-the-way place that's kind of cooler under a cabinet, or like in a utility room or something that's not heated, but it's not where it would freeze either. You don't want them to freeze. Anyway, so we're probably not the best people to ask about storage tips, but I bet some of you are, so please share that in the comments and other people can read and learn. But we usually don't grow enough to actually have to worry about storing like to make it all through the winter.
Yeah, 'cause mainly the best place to store them's in your belly.
In your belly, yeah. Yeah, for sure. They are good, and we eat a lot of orange taters. I don't even think I've told Matt, but I did order some sweet potato slips this year. Some of the white and the orange.
Where are you going to put them?
I thought maybe we could put them in one of the raised beds up at the house. One of the new ones that Matt got me, maybe. They won't be here till June, so. Yeah, and apparently that's the sweet potatoes are later. I don't know. It's been so long since I grew them. I've only grew sweet potatoes once, and they did pretty good, but I just bought the starts at, I don't even remember now, somewhere in town, somewhere where I just happened to see them. And got them. You remember we grew them out here in the front, and they did pretty good. I grew some, but I probably didn't have but 1 or 2 plants, but I grew at least enough for supper one night. Another thing people ask was, like, from each potato, how many potatoes will that grow? Of course, it really depends on how good your potatoes, how good they do, but usually a lot. Maybe one potato would end up with grow a plant that then had what, 10, 15 potatoes on it?
Yeah, I mean, in our grow bags up there, I'll usually put...
You put about 4 in those big ones.
Seed potatoes in there, and then when you go to harvest them, there's a bag full of potatoes, so I don't know how many per plant, but there's usually, I don't know, 20, 25, 30 potatoes in each bag.
Yeah, something like that. And of course that depends on, how good your plant does, and
how good a year it is.
How good a year it is. There's been some years that we planted down here that we, made really big potatoes, and then some years we just planted and just got little ones. It depends on the weather, of course, how dry it is, how wet it is, all those things, all those different things. But you do get a lot of potatoes. You can get a lot of potatoes from that one potato that you plant. And that one little potato, someone asked too, I think, about what does it do? Well, that one potato, with the one eye actually turns into a potato plant. So it grows up and gets green and will eventually bloom and grow potatoes, if that's what your goal is anyway. So you can multiply your potatoes a lot like that. And several people talked about growing them, just buying them from the grocery store. You can do that. Now, I've heard some people say certain potatoes in the grocery store have been sprayed with something that they won't sprout, but pretty much all the potatoes I've ever bought, you can begin to see them sprout if you don't eat them quick enough. So maybe that's I don't know if there's a way you could find that out. Probably if you bought organic potatoes, for sure. But then, like the potato peelings we were talking about in that video that Granny plants, and I sometimes plant accidentally, me and Matt, they usually come from a grocery store probably. So, because like I said, we can't grow enough to last us all winter, so we'll do good to eat them usually till Christmas, right? And they'll be gone by then, and then the rest of the time we just have to buy them in the grocery store. So I think potatoes is one of the easier things to grow, though, because you can kind of grow them and forget about them. Oh, and another thing people ask in the grow bags, do we heal them up? Do we go back and heal them up? We don't in those. Me and Matt hadn't. We just plant them and forget them and leave them. You could, though. That might even help them do better, but we don't. We don't do that.
I thought about planting. I mean, it's the same concept as healing. I mean, you could either plant them real deep or just have so much dirt in the bag when you plant them and then add dirt to it to fill it up over top of them. It'd be the same thing as healing.
Yeah.
But
We do sometimes, I guess, not always though, but sometimes we might add more compost on top or
Right.
more mulch or something like that, but not really. I mean, we don't make, it's not like if we do that, it's just because we've got some left in the bucket and we won't get rid of it.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're doing it on purpose. So I was trying to think if that was all. I think the questions about the potatoes. The other thing was we forgot to mention in the video about the tractor where we were so excited was to talk about where Matt would put it. A lot of people ask. We'd mentioned in several videos about Matt building a barn, so a lot of you knew that, but some people must have missed that and was asking about where we'd put it. So Matt's still planning on building a barn until he gets it built. Hopefully he's gonna, I think his plan is to try to build it this year though, right, quick as we can. But until then, Granny has a garage that's empty. Granny doesn't drive anymore, so there's Granny's garage, so we do have a place to put it. We just forgot to mention it in that one. I think Matt's changed his mind slightly about the barn. Not that he's going to build it, but where we were thinking about building it on the lower part of the garden, now we're thinking about building it kind of where we're sitting on this top part.
Yeah, I think that would probably be, as far as the land lays and the ease of getting to it and stuff, I think this may be the best place to do it.
And we're still hopeful that Austin and Cory will be living here, so we've already got their input in it, and hopefully Austin will be able to help Matt, and then they can, they'll be able to utilize it too. So Austin will definitely have a lawnmower. He's got a kayak, different things like that he'll need to put in the dry somewhere. Their other house had such a huge porch, so they had a pretty big covered area underneath, but they'll need to find a place to put all that stuff now. So hopefully it'll turn into a communal barn, I guess, is what we're planning on.
Yeah.
So I hope that Matt can get started on it pretty quick. He's got a lot of other things to do though, so we'll see.
A big list.
His list keeps getting bigger. Keeps getting bigger by the day.
Yeah, our list is quite ambitious.
It is, but that's how we live our lives, right?
You'll make a big list and knock out what you can and what you don't.
Just
try it again next year.
Try it again next year, yeah. So
don't fret it too bad.
It's like that. There's I don't remember where, if I heard it like maybe at one of my classes I had to take at Tri-County, or not classes, but like at a conference or something I had to go to for work, like professional development, but like I don't remember what the principle's called, but basically if you just do something 1% every day, if you just improve 1%, whatever it is you're doing, whether it's to a goal or if it's something at work, like probably at Tri-County it was probably like, thinking about students and stuff like that. If you just do 1% per day, that don't seem like very much. You're like, well, wow, I was really not doing much. But then if you look back over the year, look what you've done, over 300%. So I guess that's how me and Matt do how we look at things.
I don't think I've ever improved that much, though.
I think you have.
You do?
Yeah. I think you're just getting better and better with age, with time.
I don't believe I've ever improved 300% at nothing.
I think you have. I think you just improve all the time. Well, look at it like goals, though.
Okay.
If you had goals and you just did 1%, even if it was just one goal, you just did 1% of the work every day. Are you trying to say that my little inspirational piece here means nothing?
No, that's not what I was getting at, but
but maybe.
now that you mentioned it.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess it's time for me and Matt to head back up the hill and find out what's for supper and
Yep.
see what other 1% we can do up there.
Yeah. I think my 1%'s done.
You think it's done for today?
Yeah.
Now I'm just anxious for the turning plow.
Yeah. Yeah, it needs to be turned for sure.
So many memories of me and Matt being down here of Daddy, of course, but I've got a picture. If I can find it, I'll put it in the video right here. But sometimes Daddy would get, not always, but he'd get somebody to come turn it, like Matt's talking about, and I can't remember who it was this time that turned it. Maybe Bruce Chastain, I don't know. But we, of course, it was just excitement, so we'd all come and watch or whatever. And it was like a probably early March day, but March is such a funny month in lots of places, but especially here in southern Appalachia, in that it can be like today, feels like summer kind of, especially in the sunshine, not so much in the shade. But then the cold wind will come howling down through the hollers and it'll be freezing, you know. Anyway, that year, Katie had been sick and Cory had been sick. I think Katie got better or whatever. Maybe they were in middle school, something like that. But Katie was better, and Cory was just like still getting over whatever she had had. I don't even remember, you know, she had like the flu or strep throat or a bad cold or whatever it was. So what they always wanted to do anytime the garden was plowed or turned over is to get in it, barefooted usually, and they're looking for arrowheads, always looking for arrowheads. And I had my camera down here taking pictures, and I just happened to, I didn't do it on purpose, just like I caught the moment in time. But Katie had her trying to push summer. That's another thing, March, especially when you're young, you're trying to push summer to get here. You want to go put your bathing suit on and all that, and it's totally not time for that. But she had on shorts and a tank top, and Cory still had her blue jeans on because she'd been sick, and shirt. But anyway, Katie took her shoes off and went through the garden, and Cory wanted to. And I could just hear Granny in my head. It just come out my mouth. It's like, no, you can't do that, Cory. You've been sick. You can't walk in that cold-turned earth. You'll take cold. You'll take a back set. I started saying all this stuff, you know, and I wouldn't let Cory. But the part I caught was when I was taking a picture of Katie kind of taking off through there. Cory was like, she was mad. She was mad that I wouldn't let her do it. Anyway, lots of memories of being down here.
Yep.
Lots of good times.
About to make some more.
About to make some more, yeah. We're always glad when you stop by to help us celebrate Appalachia, which is a whole lot of the making of garden, planting taters, all that, but also those family ties for sure.